he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Yeah, Zelensky got that shit from Biden and the Democrats. That's how they feel about it. If you don't help us and stop Russia from invading Ukraine, it'll be you next. You will feel our bullshit. We ain't gonna feel shit. But Russia don't want the United States. I'm telling you, they don't want that problem. But they do not want the United States to build a fucking base in Ukraine right next to their border on land. There's nothing dividing them but a line. And they don't want the United States to bring Ukraine into NATO or become so close with them that they keep with this ally shit, and the Ukraine becomes a part of the NATO or a part of the alliance of the United States. And what does the United States do with its allies? They build military installations on their land. Russia would be very uncomfortable with that. And I don't care if someone is your ally or not your ally. There are certain things in world government you just can't do. World politics is just wrong. You just can't do that shit unless you want World War III. And Biden was pushing to pick a war with Putin through Ukraine. We got presidents coming and going, and then Biden gets in office, and all of a sudden Ukraine gets invaded, because everybody forgets the stuff that happened a long time ago. And they only want to pretend that all of a sudden Putin just jumped up one morning and said, hey, let's go invade Ukraine. But Ukraine has been on a campaign to join and align itself with NATO. If it does, that doesn't help or bode well for Russia. And Putin, understanding that, is basically trying to do things to prevent that from happening. And Ukraine was full steam ahead with a Biden administration encouraging it, and they got invaded. It was, 2 years into Biden's administration, because they were trying to do what would either make Putin back down, surrender, wave a flag, or go to war against the world to keep that piece of land from not being switched over to NATO. But Zelensky knows what's up. I mean, with so much stuff going on with Ukraine that we all just either forgot about. I mean, you guys don't remember the quid pro quo and the conversation between Trump and Zelensky? How you think Trump feel about Zelensky? Probably, man, fuck this dude. They try to impeach me. The Democrats tried to impeach me for offering some kind of quid pro quo to Zelensky. But the vice president's son sat on a board over the energy company over in Ukraine and made millions of dollars doing it. And he's a drug addict, and he doesn't have any skills that would line him up to a job like that. And everybody's okay with it. And now here we are with Zelensky having got billions and billions of dollars of our taxpayers' money released to him from the Biden administration. And now there's a new administration and they don't want to keep going in this path. Like, look, dude, you cannot win this. But Putin is going to eventually wipe out your entire country, or we have an option to go to the table and say, Putin, check this out. Don't invade Ukraine. Don't go any further than you have. And we will back off with trying. That's what Trump is basically saying, folks. We will back off with trying to get them to join NATO. They will can stay neutral if they want to be their own country, or they can join Russia, but they cannot join NATO. That shit ain't happening. And that's understandable for the security of Russia, whether you like them or not. They have a right to security as well. But Biden was willing to have a proxy war with Russia through Ukraine, launching missiles, offering arms, doing things that you do when you're trying to stoke a war of some kind or get Putin to back down, which still isn't a good idea, but that's what Biden thought. A man approaching 80 years of age with a philosophy that obviously doesn't benefit the world. And here's Trump, a man approaching 80 years old who has a philosophy that actually benefits the world. No matter how much you hate Putin, the Ukraine been sitting over there as a country on its own for a long time, and Putin hasn't invaded it. But when the United States starts trying to entertain talks of getting Ukraine into NATO, it's just not going to work out. And we shouldn't be fooled into believing that Trump is some cold-hearted dictator and all these things that they keep trying to say that this man is. And he is an American president who I am witnessing make a decision that doesn't put us in a war. But it lets our military might let Russia know, don't, get crazy over there. Be respectful of the lines that are drawn, and we will too. We're not trying to punk you or push up on your country like that. And in order to do that, we have to back off Ukraine. We need to quit feeding Zelensky weapons and money and anything that's going to cause him to accelerate or pursue war with Russia. I don't know what he can't win. He cannot win. And for the United States taxpayer to be funding this shit, because at Biden's behest, Biden decided that we would fund this. And obviously he did, because he's out of the White House and it ain't being funded no more. The bullets stopped because the money stopped. You don't hear about no more missiles. This dude is at the 11:59 of his presidency. Not 11 o'clock, 11:59. He got like minutes left, and he giving them, in the scheme of things, and he's giving them capabilities that they don't have on their own. And knowing that Zelensky was begging for missiles. Why do you want to launch missiles into Russia? Because you know that it needed to hurry up and happen. Because the longer Biden held off giving you those weapons, the less of a chance that it would mean anything. Early on in your presidency, had he been passing missiles and things that I think were able to go like 200 miles into Russia. That's quite a distance. A lot of harm can be done. Joe Biden, whatever was going on in his head to think that risking World War III, you could very easily have won with Biden's philosophy. And there's a lot of very well-respected military leaders and military advisors on both sides who would agree with Biden over Trump. And they believe in an imperialistic way of ratcheting up the pressure, making Putin either surrender or defend himself. And then the United States, gets to break out its military might and ultimately end up with a base in Ukraine. That is ultimately what would happen. And that's why Putin is doing what he did. That's not hard to figure out. But why does the United States citizen have to be the one putting the bill for any of this? If Ukraine is not in a position to do what Zelensky, their leader, wants to do, then it doesn't get done. You need to accept the fact that, I can't rely on another country. And if you do, and that country is the United States of America, and without, in my personal opinion, a lot of deep thought, because the plan has already been laid. They already knew if this happened, this is what we're going to do. If that happened, this is what, they already got the plan laid out. And you can see this because as soon as things heated up, we've been keeping Zelensky and Ukraine above water. They keep coming back to the United States. Remember when Biden was in office, how often he flew over and had meetings with them in that little uniform he wears? Them days are over with. Trump isn't entertaining that bullshit no more. And Biden never should have, because it just cost us $350 billion or somewhere in that neighborhood that we don't have. We don't have $350 billion to give anybody, according to the United States government. When black people go in there asking for that money, they ain't got it. And then when they go to Israel and they just pour money into Israel. Now, don't get too excited thinking that Trump is just some crazy person. The way you see him dealing with Ukraine is the way he's dealing with Ukraine. You will not see that behavior toward Netanyahu and Israel. That shit ain't going to happen. That's not going to happen. So you're going to find out that there are some lines that will not be crossed. But when it comes to that damn Ukraine situation over there and what's going on with Putin, that could have easily been prevented by the United States just backing off and letting Ukraine know, hey, you will not be joining NATO and you are considered friendly to us as far as travel and all that kind of shit that nations do, and business and trade, and we won't sanction you in any way. You're considered a friendly nation to us, but we will not court you into NATO or anywhere that's going to get you attacked, because that's basically what the United States would be encouraging. And it's so simple for any reasonable person to sit down and deduce, but they don't, because the Democrats are over there yelling other things and making it feel like, oh no, you made an emergency, you made a crisis. Putin has no interest in invading Ukraine unless Ukraine lends itself to the West. Then it's a problem. And I think it would be the same thing if all of a sudden Mexico or some other countries down in South America started to talk, or even Canada started to talk to Putin. Nah, you know what? Now we don't want to join the United States as the 51st state. We kind of like what Putin's telling us. The United States would be like, oh, no, you don't. Canada cannot become a part of Russia, and neither can Mexico. That shit ain't happening. We're attached to them by land. That shit ain't happening. So reasonably thinking about it, Putin's just doing what anybody would do, you know, and protecting his borders and his folks and his country. And Zelensky is like being unreasonable right now and disrespectful. I agree with J.D. Vance and Trump. He's being disrespectful.
You're in no
Answering on
position to
this question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're
doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position. You don't have the
saying-
cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards. But
cards.
right now, you don't.
Yeah, Trump said, you don't have the cards. I'm not playing cards. He's being a smartass, and he is being disrespectful. If you're sitting there asking somebody for everything you need to even continue, if you plan on doing a military campaign, and you realize that we had an election over here and we have another president who thinks differently than the last one, good, bad, or indifferent, it is what it is. And he's telling you, I ain't rolling that way. I disagree. No, we're not going any further. We have taxpayers over here who have funded you with no guarantee that they're getting their money back. And he's getting our money back. Trump is getting mineral rights in Ukraine to get our money, the $350 billion that we gave them for weapons that Zelensky asked for. He was given that money with no. Why is the United States so open-hearted and friendly when it comes to giving $350 billion to a foreign country? And we have black Americans who could use $350 billion to do something with that could help us all collectively. What if you don't want to give us cash? What if you don't want to give us land? You don't want to give us shit. You don't want to give us any opportunity. $350 billion, that could be the start of an educational system in the United States for black people. Because Trump is coming after the Department of Education. And we need something that we can do on our own, hopefully. We don't have the resources. We don't have the businesses. We don't have the money. And it's not our own fault that we don't have this stuff. So when we need a start, a begin after all the oppression, and everybody now wants to act like this is no, you cannot and just accidentally end up on the bottom all the time. And we have. So it's time right now for the United States to open its heart. Its own citizens, its own black citizens are fighting and crying in support of Ukraine. That Ukraine can get more money from us and more weapons from us and more support from us and join NATO. It's black people with that mentality. Like, are we crazy? Do we want World War III? Do we not want to get paid ourselves? Trump seems way more reasonable and open to a conversation with black people than Joe Biden ever was. And that's the guy we support. That's Stockholm Syndrome at its best.
You're
playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President.
As you heard, Trump just told him, you have a damn good chance of coming out of this okay because of us. The United States doesn't want to give no more money on behalf of our president. Our president is like, no, we don't want to go in the direction Biden was going in. You have to win elections when you have aspirations like the Democrats did. Once you lose, your shit dies. And then it begins to look more obvious to people who are really paying attention that the Democrats are just trying to be obstructionists. Everything this man does, they knock it and they say it's a bad thing. Common sense tells me, keep our money at home. Don't bilk our taxpayers for another country's very dangerous errand. We would be funding the beginning of World War III, which was what we were doing. We were heading down that path, and Biden was being very careful to keep it to a low level where it didn't get to that point where Putin had to respond. But he was still putting people in peril and doing dangerous shit, and directly responsible for all the lives that were lost in Ukraine by not sitting down with Zelensky in the beginning before the bloodshed started and before the bullets started and just said, look, man, because of your position geographically in the world, we will not be able to bring you over the neck. Just tell them. Just say that shit. Instead of letting all these people die and have him believing that we about to ride until the wheels fall off. We're not. We're not. I understand Trump completely, and I agree with him. And I'm just being a reasonable person when I say those things. But I think we need to be reasonable as black people and go over there now and hit this man up. We need to get our bid in and start talking to him. He's at the beginning of his presidency, and he needs support. He needs to feel that he has support, that people believe in the direction and the way that he's going. And if he's able to make a offering to us that's going to get us in the direction that we need to be heading in, so we can get back some of the things that were taken from us. Not that we're asking for a handout, not even right post-slavery, after the Reconstruction and building. All we're asking for is the opportunity to get back those things that will put us on a path economically to thrive. Who doesn't want that? And I believe this motherfucker right here would listen to us, as opposed to that other motherfucker, Biden. Biden wasn't listening to us. He had nothing good for us. And it's so sad that with him out of office, people still support his agenda and his policies in the direction that he was about to take this country in. And here we are in March, and had March 2025, had Kamala Harris won, it would have been an extension of Biden's administration. And if they had escalated any further than what they were doing, I don't know what the plan was as far as keeping Russia off, but World War III, we'd been on the brink of it. And it isn't just the United States and Russia. It's the United States and all of its allies, and Russia, and it does have allies as well. Is that what we really want for our children? Is that really what we want for the world, as opposed to making the place more civilized instead of more warlike? War should be primitive and a thing of the past. There has to be a more sophisticated way to figure this shit out. And we got Joe Biden being held and loved by most of the people that we all like the most and are related to and have relationships with. And they're just totally wrong on this because of the brainwashing that's been dealt by the Democratic Party. They really don't know any better. They really believe that we got to say, we're not saving Ukraine. We're harming Ukraine by doing what this guy is asking to do. Give him more weapons. Why? To piss off somebody? Why would you do that? Trump is making a good call here. And the hard part about it is so many people are against President Trump and they dislike him so much that no matter what he says, it's going to be a bad thing. He's racist. Oh, he's this, he's that. He's a lot of shit. But we as black people need to be smart enough to realize that you can be in the opposition of Donald Trump and you can still benefit. And you can stand over there in front of him as a man and let him know why you oppose him and why you have opposed him. But give him the opportunity to hear you out, hear what the fuck you got to say, because I believe we stand a better chance with this one. And if he does like the last president and the one before that and the one before that and the one before that, we just got to keep on pushing. But we have to find out where he stands. And the only way is that we go over there and figure it out.
Staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military.
Yes. What about
if you didn't have our military equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe
new.
Less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times thank you to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand.
You hear Trump? Well, hold on. I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on. When the fuck would Biden ever say some shit like that? Like, never. I mean, it's almost like a slow, underhanded pitch being tossed to Trump. And he's about to knock the shit out of it because this guy Zelensky is wrong. He's sitting in the Oval Office and he's over talking the president of the United States, of the country that could. We're in a mindset where he don't have to talk nice. When this shit first started, the first thing I told my friends and people who I discuss politics with was, oh my God, a white country is being invaded. That's all I thought. Well, there are going to be a lot of lives lost, but there's going to be help. Look at the United States, how we're clinging to Ukraine and helping them and accepting refugees from Ukraine into the United States. And Zelensky is still, that ain't good enough. He want to push. But had we not been merging with them and becoming closer and trying to lure them into NATO, none of this would even happen. But he ain't trying to invade that country. He's okay with the relationship and the way things are or were. And Zelensky wants to keep, I want to be a part of NATO. I want to be, yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Especially now, Trump ain't having it. And the dude is being disrespectful. But out of all of this, they still got the Democrats and especially the black and African-American Democrats locked in on doing the right thing and being what nobody looks at your situation that way. So how can you, as a stomped down, dead, downbeaten person, see the strength or have the strength to pop your head up and cry out for the people of Ukraine when you're beaten into the dirt? What is wrong with us? What is wrong with using that last gasp of fucking energy that you just used for your own self? Gasp for yourself. Scream out, help me. Do something for me. Grab my hand. Pull me up. Nah. We're worried about some people in a country we never even been to. And if you did, you probably wouldn't feel the same way about them. You need to probably go there. I don't know. I tell you what, Trump got the right idea and he got the right answer on this one. And we need to be more into calling balls and strikes and not so caught up in the tribal shit. Because the tribal shit right now is making us look real bad, you guys. The Democrats, look at the stations that support the Democrats. They're firing people left and right and the ratings are just plummeting because they're lying and they have nothing to talk about. They just keep repeating themselves and trying, and it's working for a significant portion. But it's just a brainwashing. It's just misinformation and information that falls just short of the truth. Without telling the whole story, you just tell enough of it to get that influence and that support, and then you don't tell the rest. And that's where we are as black people. We got to be out. We have to push beyond this, and we have to understand this is an opportunity for us to fight for ourselves, not to fight for other people. Just keep that at the forefront of your mind.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
Another secondary option for Ukraine is to just get the support from NATO. Whether the United States is a part of NATO or not, the only issue is the United States has been given the lion's share of the money. And NATO is, like they say, attached to them by land. They should be the ones footing the bill for this. We have an ocean between us. It seems to be the latest talk. But the real shit is this. What benefit do we have for Ukraine, a country that can't even fight Russia off for 3 days or a week at best? What good are they that we would take them? And I'm going to tell you, to be honest, but the only way Biden should have pulled that shit off or tried to pull that shit off is he should have been a man about it. Should have just told Putin, fuck it, Putin. Before you invade Ukraine, Because if they try to join the West, you're going to invade them. So we going to invade them. Whether we're going to give them the plan, they going to either surrender or we're going to take the country because we want that land so we can have some jurisdiction in your area and over that region. You know, and that's how Biden should have played. He should have just been a man about it and told him. And then Putin would have said, no, you're not going to take. Then the war would have been over Ukraine, and it would have been the United States, and it would have been Russia leading the sides, and not putting Ukraine with this dumbass dude out there getting his people caught up. Hey, his people might have got killed up anyway, but is it really that important for our dominance and power in the world for us to have Ukraine? Is it one of those things that the straw will break the camel's back? Is it? Because if it isn't, then what is Biden doing? Why is he stoking war? Why is he pushing aggression when we have the financial and economic problems that we have in this country? That should be a priority. That we have the racial injustices and issues in this country, that should be a priority. That we have the immigration issue in this country, that should be a priority. Not bringing illegal immigrants into this country and they're sleeping under roofs. And we have American citizens sleeping on the street under the stars in the winter. So yeah, but his priorities is fucked up. Use common sense when you think of Joe Biden. Look at the things he pushed hard for. Look at the people who support him and are in his political party and what he did for them after they made it possible for him to get the nomination. That's black people I'm talking about, for those of you who wasn't paying attention. Black people did that for him. And what did they get out of it? Nothing. Joe Biden ignores the shit out of black people. And I don't think Trump does. We can only know if we go over there and try. Because if we take these 4 years off and dedicate it to doing what the Democrats ask us to do, we are really doing ourselves a huge disservice. And it's getting dimmer and dimmer for us. And I believe that this is a wonderful opportunity. We would see our own, for those of us who have left, former party or current party, for those of you who are still Democrats, we would see them fall apart if this man did anything for us. They wouldn't know what to do. They'd tell us, go get that back. Give that back. That's not good for you. He's fooling you. He's trying to trick you. And we probably take that shit and give it back. But we need to be over there hollering at him. That's all I'm saying.
Question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make. Because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony hunt.
So that's where it gets hard for some people, because Trump will go too fucking far and start talking about himself and trying to lend credibility to areas where, I don't know, in that position, maybe that's what you take that opportunity, because he's in a great opportunity right now. This is one hell of a press conference in his favor. So maybe he's just using that and shit, maybe it works. I don't know. That's where he loses me, because I start going, yeah, right now you're right. But then you start going in areas where you wasn't so right or whatever, in my opinion. But I can't knock him for not supporting Zelensky. And as far as, if it was a humanitarian, if they were asking for money for the parts of the country that was damaged to rebuild it back and, get the housing and shit back situated, that makes more sense. But it still has to be done at a cost. We can't just be handing money out to people when you have citizens of the country asking and you keep saying consistently no. That there's no justification for that.
Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia, the 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh?
Damn. Yeah, he shut his ass down. As a world leader, though, you have to understand levels of respect and reasonable questions and things you should be asking for. And also the politics of another country, another nation that you're engaged in. And everybody knows that Biden and Trump are 180 degrees different. There's just no way they're both going to agree on this shit. And I happen to agree with Trump because if we got that kind of money, then we got things at home domestically we could be solving. And I don't think the priority of that is that high. And I think the risk factor is way too high. Way too high. Who wants to risk World War III for this wingnut former child actor Zelensky? When I found out he was a former child actor, I started paying attention to him, and I'm like, and he hasn't grown very much. No, we don't need him. He's not going to do anything to benefit us except the geographical location of the country that he is the president of, and it'd be best for us to we don't need to be physically that close to Russia to have the same type of security when it comes to Russia that we've always enjoyed. And I just think that for whatever reason, Biden and his advisors were really trying to punk Putin. And he let them know, if you guys keep trying to get this dude in NATO, this is what's going to happen. Boom, an invasion. It was so unnecessary. In these modern times, to see that kind of loss of life is just very heartbreaking. You'd think they'd have got better than that, but they haven't. Okay, but I want to understand, why does it seem like we're doing a bad thing by not supporting another country's ambitions, or especially when we are the ones who are encouraging it? Ukraine came to the NATO or the United States and said, hey, I want to join NATO. I need you to help me out. We could have, with the level of technology and intelligence that we have, someone should have been able to sit down with him and say, that'd be great to have you guys aboard, but you're too close to Russia, your border, and there's absolutely no way that it would be a peaceful transition with you coming into NATO. So we're gonna hold back on that in fairness for safety and the livelihood of your country, because it won't be one. Just be honest with them from the beginning, instead of you can be a trade partner, a trade ally. We'll do business with you respectfully without crossing that line with Putin, because we could blow his shit up or whatever we have to do, but it's not necessary. Human life should be the priority, unless it absolutely has to happen. And I don't think that had to happen. Like, comment, share, and please subscribe. And we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.